So how do we compound on reading skills after they've learned how to read? A major transition happens about third grade where students no longer are learning to read. At this point, they should be able to read everything in front of them. Now they're reading to learn, and they're using those reading skills for other academic concepts. I already have several videos on our third grade course, which is all vocabulary, and we get into Greek and Latin roots and word parts, how to use these word parts, how to pronounce them properly, is it an open, a closed syllable, and then define those word parts, whether it's just the affix, such as a prefix or a suffix, or if it's Greek or Latin, and then how to reuse those definitions and those roots in other words, defining the big vocabulary without needing a dictionary or constantly asking a parent or teacher what the word means. You can find a lot of those third grade videos all through my profile. However, in this video, I want to talk about what even comes after that. Upper elementary reading becomes heavily focused on comprehension, vocabulary, fluency, study skills, critical thinking, and informational reading strategies. In our fourth grade program, for example, students are going to work on all study skills. This is going to include learning skim reading, scan reading, close or intensive reading, they mean the same thing, vocabulary analysis, fluency, reading stamina, and then comprehension strategies as well. This is necessary because if your child goes to public school, fourth grade is where they're going to be assigned much bigger assignments. They're going to be given textbooks and told, read this chapter in your science book, and then here's a worksheet. Write a beginner essay. Now when kids, even if they know how to read, that can become a very overwhelming task very quickly. And then when that overwhelm sets in, they tend to not do well. They tend to not actually learn the information. And then they revert right back to trying to memorize everything, which is not a good way to learn. Therefore, fourth grade is study skills where we learn how to pull information efficiently from larger amounts of text. And this is where many hidden literacy gaps become extremely obvious for those upper elementary or more advanced literacy skills. Strong readers are taught not just decoding anymore or how to read quickly, now they're also analyzing, processing, comparing, and then learning from text continuously. Fourth grade, essentially like what I said, that's what they're going to learn, but the reason for this is so they can pull information quickly. They know how to skim for certain information, they know how to scan for a keyword or a date, and then they know how to close read when they find that keyword or a synonym, and then they can find the answer quickly and efficiently. Not only is this insanely helpful for homework, very useful for test taking and standardized testing as well. Follow for literacy and child development support. And if you want more information about our upper elementary reading programs, click the link in my profile and schedule an assessment to see if your child is ready for some of those more advanced skills.